Am I the asshole for not disclosing to my housemates that my family has money and refusing to pay more monthly? Hi, this happened in Brazil, but I'm posting here so my friends don't find it. I, 23F, live with 7 other people, 2 girls and 5 boys, one of them is my boyfriend. We are all between 20 to 25. We started renting together 3 years ago when we were all in the same university and just kept doing it. We split rent and utilities equally. We are all at least friendly with each other and regularly have parties, travel together, but we are not all that close. Recently, during a party, we were all a bit drunk and were talking about funny stories from our families, and I commented that I studied in a very elite school in our city. One of the boys, J, 25, was very surprised because it is a very expensive school. He started asking me questions about the way I grew up and eventually just said, "Wow, you were rich?" I thought that was it and we kept having fun. Well, the morning after, he started making all these jokes about me being rich and snobby, which I didn't mind. We tease each other all the time. But after like 3 days it started annoying people, so one of the girls, Maria, 24F, told him to cut it out because he was overdoing it. This started an argument and eventually it came out that he was uncomfortable with the revelation that my parents had money. We started talking about it. It was super awkward because it sucks having a serious conversation at breakfast. And he said that he truly felt betrayed because he thought we were all broke and that to make things fair I should have been making bigger contributions to the house funds. I said that I understood he was upset, but that I couldn't really afford paying the amount he was suggesting, 1,800 Brazilian reals. He insisted and my boyfriend got involved and eventually he just left while saying I was a liar. Well, my other 6 friends don't agree with him and think he's being a dick, and now he's being kind of sidelined for the past week, but I can't help wondering if he's right. I never lied about how I grew up, but I knew that just the fact both my parents have a master's meant that I grew up better off than everyone else from this group, and I kind of avoided commenting about it because I thought it was awkward. Most people knew, but apparently Jay and our other friend didn't. Am I the asshole for not paying more? Not the asshole. Your parents may have money, but that doesn't mean you do. You don't state if they're paying your rent, so presumably you're all in the broke early 20s phase trying to figure it out and make it on your own. Not the asshole. Jay, you have more food than I do, give me some. Jay, your car is nicer than mine, you have to let me drive it. Jay, your computer is faster than all of ours, here's the new schedule of who gets to use it when. You get to use it between 7 and 10 a.m. weekdays. Sound dumb? Because it is. He is not entitled to have more of what other people have more of than he does, just like the reverse is also true. Not the asshole. Jokes about me being rich and snobby. Snobs don't live with 7 roommates. To make things fair I should have been making bigger contributions to the house funds. No, that would be unfair. Everyone pays an equal share, is the fair way. Not the asshole. Your family is rich, you are not. You're paying as much as everyone else, and that guy can go pound sand. Not the asshole. For 3 years you all lived together and had an agreement that each of you paid an equal amount, and that is exactly what occurred. This guy has either some hang up about money, expensive schools, and it is solely his problem. Why didn't he ask for everyone's parents' tax returns before agreeing to this situation? Because you were all young and in university and this made sense. None of your friends, roommates have an issue, so there is something problematic for him. Not the asshole. You are splitting things equally and you should be paying equal shares. These are housemates and that's how the world works. Jay seems to have a chip on his shoulder, which is proven by the fact that everyone else agrees with you. Am I the asshole for refusing to reschedule a funeral? We'll try to be brief. My dad passed away and we are organizing his funeral. A relative, his sister, has made numerous requests of us, amounting to changing the date of the funeral 3 times for them. The funeral director is getting increasingly annoyed and made this clear. They have now come to me today requesting another date change because 2 in-laws, spouses of their son and daughter, my 2 separate cousins, and a nephew cannot attend due to 2 cases of work training and a holiday respectively. A distant relative in Australia has also mentioned they would not be able to log onto the funeral's web livestream at that time due to having to attend a meeting. If we were to accommodate this, this would push the funeral back to late June, early July, meaning we would lose out on a wake. The venue owner is a friend and has offered to cover it, within limits of course, and mean friends who've really stepped up for us wouldn't be able to attend. When this was mentioned, she started saying how family are more important and it would upset my dad more if his family couldn't be there. One of the family members who can't attend only met my dad twice. This is also the same family that have requested various add-ons, the live stream, fingerprinting of the deceased, extra limousines, etc., without our prior knowledge or approval. Finally, at the end of my tether, I simply said I'd be inclined to move the date back to the original, early May, to save money on embalming, so it would purposefully clash with her holiday. I promptly hung up and have ignored all phone calls. Naturally, I feel pretty fucking guilty. Am I the asshole here? Not the asshole. Your dad's funeral is about honoring him, not juggling everyone's schedules. Stand your ground. You've been more than fucking accommodating with 3 changes already. Your father deserves to be laid to rest with dignity, surrounded by people who genuinely cared for him. The people who stepped up deserve to be there more than those who barely knew him. Funeral arrangements aren't democratic. Your father's actual loved ones matter more. Your guilt is understandable but unnecessary. That's exactly what she's counting on. You deserve peace during this process too. Oh my goodness, I am sorry you are having to go through this. I remember when my mom died, I was only child, how various relatively distant relatives felt that their needs were more important and that everything should revolve around them. One second cousin I met once 40 years ago had a real sulk when the date wasn't right. Best to just pick the date that suits you and go for it. They can livestream as needed. I'm sure it can be recorded for those in meetings. P.S. Don't let the FD take instructions from anyone else other than you, and don't try to explain to these relatives about anything. Just say, sorry, only date we can do. Not the asshole, this is your parents' funeral. I assume you are next of kin. Plan the funeral when it accommodates your schedule. You will not be able to please everyone and you will not be able to accommodate everyone else. What you can do, if you choose to do so, is have a memorial service a few months after the funeral. Again, pick a date that works for you. I'm very sorry for your loss. Not the asshole. Sorry for your loss. We had a ton of funerals, cremations, never did we consider others in the time, date. Direct family, like spouse and kids, are important. The rest can come or stay away, their pick. No hard feelings either if a person can't make it. Especially with livestream, you can pull back in an office or outside and follow anywhere. It is about the core family, not the rest. Wish you and the relatives lots of strength and love in the upcoming time. Not the asshole. If her being there were important to her, she would make it a priority. You were crazy to reschedule 3 times, don't make it any more of a habit. Once might have been reasonable. Not the asshole, this is getting unreasonable. Plan the funeral when you want it. If it matters to them, they'll make their best effort to get there. Also, the fingerprinting seems odd. I have a paw print from my dead cat, but fingerprints of a human just seem to crime adjacent to be a fond memory. Am I the asshole for refusing to do house chores after my mom said only girls should do them? I tried to post this in the sub, but it wasn't letting me. Now that I got things fixed, I'm going to repost this. Hopefully it works this time. So I, 22F, live at home with my parents and siblings, including my brothers, 23M, 21M, and 18M, and my younger sister. The house needed a deep clean, and I suggested that it would be faster and fairer if everyone pitched in, not just the girls. My mom actually agreed at first and said, that sounds like a good idea. I was actually surprised and thought we were all on the same page. But then she told me to start by vacuuming all the carpets, and told my sister to do some other chores around the house. We got to work, but I started wondering when my brothers were going to be called in to help. They were just playing video games in the other room the whole time. I asked her about it, and she basically told me to be quiet and just do the work. When I said it didn't feel fair that she was only making the girls do the chores, she got mad and said something like, never in my life have I seen a girl act like this. Aren't you embarrassed? I reminded her that she agreed the boys should help too, and she responded, I never said we would actually do that. They're boys. You and your sister are girls. This is your job. To give some context, my family believes that men should work outside and women should do the inside work. My brothers are adults now, but they don't have jobs and aren't expected to do either the man jobs or woman jobs. They're free to sit around and play video games and don't have to help anyone while my sister and I do all the work. I even tried to ask my dad to step in, but he just ignored me and kind of mocked me. At this point, I've stopped doing the chores out of protest. My mom is now really angry at me and thinks I'm being disrespectful and lazy. I feel like I'm just standing up for what's fair, but part of me wonders if I'm being a jerk by refusing to help now. So, Reddit, am I the asshole? Not the asshole. It's just blatant sexism, but I'm curious if this is just becoming an issue or have your brothers always been excused from doing work? Not the asshole, this is sexist behavior. You're an adult, so I'd recommend you start to prepare for moving out and building a life on your own terms. Not the asshole. I'd be ashamed to raise boys to believe they could sit on their asses gaming while the females cleaned the house. Your parents are setting them up to completely fail in life. You're 22, save your money. Take your skills and move into your own space. Info. In what country do you live? Remember this when you raise the next generation. This has to stop somewhere. Not the asshole, just tell your mom, I have changed my view. This is the responsibility of a wife and mother. As I am neither and won't sign up for such roles at this time. It's your job, Mom. Mom, this is a dirty house, you should do a better job. Not the asshole and girl move out. Am I the asshole for not inviting my nephew to my son's birthday party? I, 35 female, have a son, Killian, 14 male, who just recently had a birthday. The issue stems from his birthday from last year, where we invited all his cousins and his friends to celebrate him. The party went great for the first half, but when it came time to cut the cake I went over to fridge to go get it and saw it was half eaten. I was obviously upset about this because this had been a cake that I had made by a professional baker that cost me around $140 and my son really loved the design. I asked who ate the cake and my sister, 44 female, laughed it off when her son, Robbie, 16 male, told her that he ate the cake because he was hungry. To be clear, the cake wasn't the only food at the party. Throughout the party we served many different dishes such as wings, veggie platters, pizzas, chips, and sodas. I was obviously angry that my son couldn't have his cake and had to quickly go out and buy one from Walmart. I'm honestly still shocked that with all the food at the party Robbie still managed to clear half of a huge cake. It was enough to produce about 20 slices. I called my sister later to tell her I wasn't happy with what her son had done, and since I had spent so much money on the cake I expected it back. She then accused me of being fat-phobic, which absolutely is not true. I have never once discriminated against Robbie at any time. This was just a false accusation. To explain, Robbie has a weight problem and has been having issues with binging since he was around 13, which is why he is about 250 pounds, and my sister has never failed to let anyone know of that and expects for everyone to bend over backwards for Robbie since he has it hard. This year Killian wanted to have a friends-only party with the exception of 2 cousins. One that only his friends and closest cousins could come to since he hated his party from last year. I asked why and he explained to me that he was embarrassed of Robbie since all he did was poke fun at his friends and him, bring his own uninvited +1, and obviously he ate some of the cake. I complied and only invited his friends and allowed 2 of his cousins to join as well. Luckily some of my siblings were understanding. The only one who had an issue with this was my sister. She called me to ask why Robbie wasn't invited and I explained to her that Killian doesn't want him there because of what he did last year. My sister was infuriated and said she knew he had an issue with her son's weight. Since then she has been ranting all over Facebook and I've been getting calls from relatives and this entire situation has been stressing me out. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. You don't have an issue with her son's weight, nor are you being ableist or fat-phobic. You have an issue with him bringing an uninvited guest, making comments that made your son uncomfortable, bullying your son and his friends, and last, but most importantly, he ate half of his birthday cake. There was plenty of food and he was not starving. He's old enough to know what the word no means and he knew he should not have ate that. His behavior is why he was not invited. I would consider going low contact with your sister. I think you'll find your life much more peaceful that way. Not the asshole. It's your son's party. He's old enough to determine his own guest list and he's entitled to do so. He picked the people he wanted to celebrate with. That's his prerogative. Also, this was a friend's party, not a family party. Being family doesn't mean one is owed an invite, and his cousin's past poor behavior justifies him not being invited. Not the asshole. Fat people don't get a free pass to eat everyone else's food. His problem isn't that he's fat, it's that his mother doesn't love him enough to get him help for his food obsession and she hasn't taught him basic manners or that it is wrong to steal no matter how hungry we are. I don't understand how 2 adults that grew up in the same household can end up with one entitled asshole that has no manners and politeness. If the kid wanted cake before the b-day boy gets to blow out his candles, the mother should have taught that it's not right to touch someone's cake and that there's plenty of other food to eat. Clearly that sister needs to be taught manners to teach her own kid or else be excluded from future events. Not the asshole. Your nephew is 16, and I double-checked because I thought surely he is just 6, but he is way too old for that behavior to be even remotely tolerated. Heck, I would have been appalled if my son had done that at 3 years old. Your son is allowed a birthday party that he enjoys without having to worry that his cousin is going to act inappropriately. I would tell anyone who asks that your son is having a close friends party and the guest list has been set. Repeat that to anyone who decides to stick their nose in and do not think for a second you have done anything wrong. Your sister allows her almost adult son to act very inappropriately and he is old enough to understand the consequences of those actions. Not the asshole. Your sister is a big part of the problem here. The fact that she was just fine with her son eating the special birthday cake before it was even served is ridiculous. She needs to stop trying to make everything about his weight and realize her son just has some behavioral problems that she seems to enable.